So hello. What I'm going to do here today is show you bits and pieces of making an old-fashioned corn pone with molasses. And I've got everything already pre-measured, and I'll tell you what it is, and then I'll show you. And I'll have to cut in and out because you have to let this, you'll see. Don't worry about it, you'll see. So first, pull my hair back because you don't want to be eating the hair. So first what we're going to do is we're going to put some boiling water. Well, no, let me do it this way. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take 2.5 cups of cornmeal. Now this is not my favorite cornmeal. This is a store-bought. I really don't like it. It's kind of like what comes in Jiffy Mix. It's ground really fine. I usually have cornmeal from an Amish cornmeal that I get in Ohio when we go to the Lucasville swap meet. But either I'm totally out or I've forgotten where I put it. Because I used what was left in my jar here upstairs, but then I had to go down and get this. So, but anyway, it worked just fine. It's just not my favorite. So there's 2.5 cups of cornmeal here. And then I'm gonna have to put 1.5 cups of water, boiling water. And I'm gonna have to go across here to the stove to get that, so give me just a minute. So there, you know, we've got our 1.5 cups of boiling water. Now this is an older KitchenAid, it's kind of noisy, so bear with me. So we've got that, and what you saw me add was some, actually I added olive oil. The recipe actually calls for bacon drippings, but I don't have any. I haven't fixed bacon in a long time, shame on me. But that was olive oil. And then we're gonna add 1/2 cup of molasses. Unfortunately, I didn't get local molasses, West Virginia molasses, because I couldn't find any here. The season, I'm sure, was over, but so this is a brand name, big brand name molasses, and it'll work just fine. Molasses are exceptionally sticky. I mean, they're sticky like honey. And I'll move you over here just for a second so that you can see what we're mixing. See how dark it looks. It is going to be pretty dark when it's done because the molasses are dark. Molasses are dark? Molasses is dark. You know, somebody who's an English teacher can tell me. So now the interesting part here is that this has to cool. It has to cool for about 20 minutes or so. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna spread it out a little bit on in the bowl, up the sides and stuff, just to give it some more surface for cooling to take place. You can feel the bowl. The bowl is, the stainless steel bowl is really warm. So we're gonna let that set, and then I'll be back. Okay, we're back. So the cornmeal, the hot water, and the molasses have now cooled. They're not like ice cold. It's closer just to room temperature, but we're gonna move on and we're gonna mix this. Let me see, let me move this a little bit and see if I can get you a better look at what I'm doing. You don't have to look at me all the time. I'm not real good with this, so c'est la vie. So what we're going to add now is I have a cup of buttermilk, and I made this buttermilk, and I've got videos talking about how to make buttermilk. I have a cup of ice, well, cold water came out of the refrigerator. I have a couple eggs beaten up in here, and I have a cup and a quarter of it's a flour. There's it's self-rising flour and a little bit of salt. So we're going to add that now. These older mixers, and I don't have the kind of paddle on it that has the scraper. Every so often I'm going to go through, because I don't know if you can see right in here, that's flour that didn't fall down in. It's kind of stuck on the sides, and you just want to mix it around, and you want to get underneath, because there's a little couple spots that the paddle sometimes will miss. You want to make sure you get that all mixed in. Give it just a couple more minutes. Because you're not trying to whip it or anything. Nice. Stewie Griffith form. Whip it. Whip it. You're just trying to mix it all in evenly. And then, come off there. Sometimes there we go, there. I always turn it in the wrong direction. Catch any little drips there. And so this is what you've got. It's not as dark as it was, because of course we put the flour in there and that lightened it up some, but it's still darker than cornmeal or cornbread mix that you're going to see because of the molasses. And the molasses does give it a really, I don't know how to explain the flavor it gives, but it gives it a really interesting flavor. So I'm going to move you here in just a second. You'll not notice it really. Over to the oven. I have it preheated oven at 400 degrees, and also, since I'm using cast iron, the cast iron was in it before I started the oven. So we're putting this in a hot cast iron skillet. But you'll see that in just a minute. Okay, so what you're going to see here is I've got my oven. This is a really, really old oven, and it has a standing pilot light. And the thermocouple has been worked on or replaced a couple different times. The thermometer is actually kind of off. So I can have this set at 400, and it's not actually 400. So I have a little digital machine here, just a few bucks off of Amazon, a hot loop. And it's got a wire that goes in, and I have it hanging in the back to get the actual temperature, which has made a big difference in some of my baking, even because it would be off like 10 or 20 degrees. So here's my hot skillet. This skillet should be about 400 degrees now because it's been in there since I turned the oven on. Hot cast iron skillet. I am going to shoot it with a little vegetable oil. Try not to get in front of the camera. And then I'm just going to dump in our batter. Now this is not the first batch I've done today. I did a batch earlier and put it in some molds. You can hear that cooking already on that hot cast iron. And we're going to get that back in the oven. And I'm going to set my timer for 25 minutes. And my poor old timer is about to go. If it's setting just crooked, it won't work. So, but the first batch I did today, I did in these little molds. This is little tiny ones, obviously, and it's supposed to come out looking like corn. Well, it kind of doesn't. And these are, oh, this is my, let me show you, for those of you who might be interested in, this is my Griswold Crispy Corn Wheat Stick Pan, it says. Number, I can't make out the number. 262, I think it says. Not real sure. This one is also a corn shape. Obviously, it's a little bit bigger. And it's not marked. Well, it's marked with a 27. 27C, but it doesn't have a manufacturer's name. There's a guy out there that probably knows what it is. On the YouTube, he's called Mud Brooker. And this is the other one. It's also a, you know, corn-shaped pan. But this one's Wagner Ware. It says Wagner Ware here, made in USA here. I think that says 7. I went through my cast iron phase. I've got a ton of cast iron. I love it. And if you take your time to learn how to use it, it is beautiful to work with. You need hot cast iron and cold whatever you're putting in it. Whether you're starting with a little bit of butter or grease. Either way, they have to be washed. But we've got 25 minutes, which should go for you like a flash. Okay, well, I didn't show taking it out of the oven because I was doing something else when the buzzer went off, and I had to move the camera because, well, it was in my way. But here we go. Let me get my other oven mitt on. This is what we've got. Gorgeous, isn't it? All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tip it over. And I'm going to put the back in there, and I'm going to turn the oven off. And the cast iron will cool down at the same time as the oven and reduce the chances of, one, burning somebody because you can't tell that it's hot until you grab it, 2, warping. Cast iron will warp. It's a thick metal. It needs time to warm up and it needs time to cool down. All right, so I'm going to flip this over. Ouch, maybe. Let me get my other rack. Sorry about that. Get it on the rack and turn it over and let it cool before we cut it. So it needs to cool. Actually, the directions said, or the recipe says to serve it hot, but I can't, so I need to let it cool. And I can't because I'm not serving it until Saturday. So I need to let it cool, and then I'll cut it, and we'll show you then. I'll show you this after I cut it, and then I'll show you the little breadsticks that we made, corn sticks too. Be back in a little bit. Okay, and what you see here is the mini sticks and the regular corn sticks from the cast iron pans that I showed you earlier, and a nice heaping chunk of cornpone in the middle. It's fun to arrange stuff like that. I'm not the most creative person, but I love doing stuff like that. So if you haven't already, please hit like, hit subscribe, share, rumble, all of those exciting things to help other people find my site and to help with the algorithms to promote the sites. And come back again soon. We'll have another fun upload for you.